KLFY uncovers and digs deeper into the untold stories of missing persons, strange disappearances, cold cases, and mysteries from the heart of Acadiana. Beal and Abear present Cajun Case Files, a KLFY Plus original.
It's 10 in the morning on Sunday, September 10th, 2023. 58-year-old Willard Daspit Jr., or Bill as his friends call him, is at home and his home in Coteau Homes. It's a tiny, unincorporated community in St. Martin Parish. Bill puts on some old blue jean shorts, a baseball hat, and tennis shoes. He kisses his wife Laura, says goodbye, and then heads out the front door. He hops on his beloved motorbike and heads down his driveway. He has a camp just a few houses down on this stretch of highway they live on, and he's planning to go over there and work on his motorbike that he's been riding. Laura says Bill usually comes home for lunch, but he didn't this day. It's a little strange, but nothing super alarming. Well, it starts getting darker, and Bill still hasn't come home. So this is when Laura starts getting a little nervous, but not really overwhelmed with anxiety. She's thinking he just got caught up with something at the camp and he'll be home soon. But he doesn't come home. Late that night, Laura hops in her truck and drives to their camp. She notices their property gate is locked, so she assumes Bill must have gotten wrapped up with his work and just went to a friend's house for the night. But the next morning, Laura looks around and she realizes Bill still isn't home. And that's when she starts realizing she may actually have reason for concern. You see, it's not like Bill just to not come home, not even a phone call. So on Monday, the next day, September 11th, Laura gathers together a group of friends and family, and they start hitting the streets, hoping to find any clues about where Bill could be. And they actually find some. Just a few houses down from their own home, between their house and the camp, they find Bill's glasses in a ditch right off the road. And it's not like these are reading glasses. Bill needs his glasses to see anything. Then things get stranger. They also find Bill's helmet, keys, and his motorbike, the very bike he left home on. And all of these items are just 100 yards away from the camp where Bill was heading to. But there was no sign of Bill. Not at the camp, not back at their house. How did this guy go missing so close to home? Literally between his two properties in very close proximity to each other. Laura tells me their camp is less than 500 yards away from their home. So that day, Laura reports her husband missing to the St. Martin Parish Sheriff's Office. As the days go on, she's growing more and more concerned because not only does Bill not have his glasses, he also takes medicine for his blood pressure, cholesterol, and an antidepressant. He also takes 4 different types of eye drops 4 times a day. And all of his medicines are sitting at home completely untouched. The medicine he needs. Here's Laura speaking to KLFY News 10 a few days into the search for her missing husband.
Just going down his shop to work on his motorcycle, and I figured if he didn't come back for lunch, he always come back by nighttime. Especially since he had the eye surgery. Once it starts getting dark, he can't see. It's glaucoma. He's always come home. So if he hasn't been back by morning, that means beyond. But this, I've never had to file a missing persons report for anybody. This is surreal. I don't understand how he just disappeared.
As Laura and her and Bill's friends and family are searching around their home and their camp, Laura gets a phone call. It's an employee from the local grocery store right down the road from where they live. This employee tells Laura their surveillance cameras may have captured Bill. So Laura books it to this grocery store and takes a look at this video they have. And she says, sure enough, that is her husband right there on the video. This video shows Bill on Sunday exactly how he left their home that morning. No shirt, blue jean shorts, tennis shoes, and the baseball cap he threw on before walking out the door. The video shows Bill just casually walking down the highway. He doesn't appear to be holding anything in his hands like a bag. Some people theorized Bill left his home on his own accord, wanting to start a new life, but this video does not show a man packing up his life and leaving it all behind. Like I said, he's just strolling down the streets. He doesn't even have his wallet, his keys, phone, medicine, not even his dentures. Laura is worried because her 58-year-old husband is not in the best health. Here's Laura again.
They have him on video at Broussard's store, and the fire station has him on video too. So he's alive, walking around somewhere. So we just need people to recognize him, stop, and bring him to a hospital and contact me. Stumbling. He's walking along, stumbling down the middle of the road, mumbling to himself. Well, he's dehydrated. He's borderline diabetic. So he hasn't had his medications. And he can't see. So he's just lost out there, and I need somebody to just stop and ask him if he needs help. Because he's not going to go knock on the door because he's afraid to get off of the road because he can't see.
This store that spots Bill in their surveillance video is just a little more than a mile down the road from Bill's home. It's about a 26-minute walk. And the fire station where he's seen again on video is about 2 miles away from the grocery store, so that's about a 40-minute walk. Laura says a few other places in town also show him just walking down the road. The St. Martin Parish Sheriff's Office says they have video of Bill walking down the highway by the Coteau Homes fire station around 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Remember, Bill left his house at 10 a.m. So based off these surveillance videos, we know Bill walks at least 3 miles down the road from his home. He spent at least a few hours just walking along the highway, it seems. But that's where the evidence stops. Coming up, search parties are organized trying to find Bill.
More Cajun Case Files after this.
Bill is well loved in his small little community in Coteau Homes, and people who know him want to do everything they can to help find him. Laura says Bill was this jack-of-all-trades handyman that could figure out just about anything. Everyone in their little community would go to Bill to get advice on boats, engines, motorcycles, things around the house. Laura and neighbors and friends and family organized search parties, combing through the woods around their home, going door to door, asking everyone to check their cameras, asking if they've seen him. Here's one of Bill's friends, Joseph Richard, on the 5th day of their search.
I'm gonna help out as much as I can every day. I've not missed a night yet, day and night. A little sleep. When I get home, phone doesn't stop. Lay in bed and think about where he could be. Where would I go if I was in that situation, you know? We were out last night with thermal vision scopes looking for him. I had some guys come out. We had crews walk the woods at night. I'd go down the road, turn my truck off, scream his name, and listen, see if I'd hear anything. I wouldn't hear nothing. I'll never give up hope. I'm gonna be looking for him 10 years from now if he's not found, you know. But I think if he's anywhere in this area, he's gonna be found.
The St. Martin Parish Sheriff's Office, who is investigating Bill's disappearance, as well as Laura and Bill's friends and family, are hoping for any more leads. As it turns out, someone did see him in person that Sunday that he vanished. In fact, not just one person, but two. A husband and a wife come forward. This couple says they were driving down the highway that Sunday night around 10 p.m. and they see this man on the side of the road. They start slowing down to talk to him and see if he needs some help, but they see a white car in front of them stopped before they got a chance. They figured if this man does need help, someone's already helping him. They don't need us too. So they drive off. They don't think about it much until they hear that this guy, Bill, went missing that day. When they see his picture, they realize that is the guy they saw walking along the highway. At this point, though, it's been more than a week since Bill went missing. Here's Laura.
A man and his wife saw Bill, started to slow down, and then the white car in front of them stopped and turned around and went back and stopped. Okay. And at that point, we have no idea what happened to Bill. We don't know if the white car picked him up and brought him to a homeless shelter. We've checked. We don't know if they brought him to a hospital. We've checked. We don't know if they actually know who they have. Probably they don't. Mm-hmm. You know, and he can't see. He's got 2200 vision, so this is who he is. Please, he has a family, he has a wife, he has a home.
With all of the leads Laura has, she starts theorizing what could have happened to Bill. She thinks Bill wrecked his motorcycle on his way to their camp, maybe hit his head and started walking around in a dazed and confused state, just trying to get home. On top of a potential head injury, Laura says Bill wasn't in great health either, especially when it comes to his eyes. Laura told me Bill grew up on a farm and he loved the farm life. But when he was just 13 years old, Bill was blowing up some tree stumps in a pasture when there was a dynamite malfunction and exploded. His family was all having lunch in their family dining room and rushed over to Bill, who received the impact from most of this blast. Laura didn't know him at the time. They were kids, but she says he actually died 3 times on the way to Tulane Hospital in New Orleans. Bill was put into a medically induced coma for an entire year and had 6 operations in that time. But miraculously, Bill survived, but he never got his sight back and he couldn't walk. But Bill was strong and determined. His family had an Irish setter named Red, and he used Red to help him walk again. And eventually, he was back riding his bicycle again. In Bill's teenage years, he even recovered some of his eyesight, but that's where the progress stopped. So you see, Bill has always had problems with his sight. And more recently, 3 months before Bill disappeared, he had surgery for glaucoma, and their doctor said Bill saw everything through a haze or a thick fog. Laura thinks a confused Bill, fresh off an injury from wrecking his bike and his already bad eyesight, probably looked down at the highway and just started following that white line that's painted in the road. She thinks he got picked up by this couple who pulled over to help him, but because he's so confused, he doesn't know who he is. Laura believes the couple, not knowing who he is either or where to bring him, must have dropped him off at a hospital or a homeless shelter. After hearing this, Laura puts up a $500 reward for anyone who can bring Bill back home. We'll tell you more after the break. Laura puts up this $500 reward in September, and then all she can really do is wait. Wait to see if Bill turns up or investigators find out anything. She waits and waits and waits until more than 4 months go by without any new information coming up. By February of 2024, Laura cannot wait anymore and she has to do something. She purchases billboards all over Lafayette. The billboards show a picture of Bill, his name, Laura's phone number. It also has in huge red and white letters, missing person and $500 reward. And at the bottom, you see the hashtag, help us find Bill Daspit. She hopes this lead will lead to more leads and maybe even her husband.
I believe this will. This is going to reach enough people and get enough people talking that somebody's going to know and have heard something by now. They had to have, especially with just Mardi Gras going by. Yeah. So, I mean, because this has been up for a couple of days, so people seen it, and it was also across from UL with the hashtag help us find Bill Daspit. So that helps connect the story with all the facts and the dots. He's been my best friend for over 36 years. We've been together 20. So we just had our anniversary November 27th.
While Laura is giving everything she has to find her husband, she's hearing what people around her are saying. Like any small town, people start gossiping and guessing what could have happened to Bill. And a leading theory is that Bill was tired of his life and simply walked away from Laura, his home, everything, to start off somewhere new. Laura says no, absolutely not possible. They had challenges like any married couple, but he would never just leave without even a goodbye. I asked Laura about the relationship, and she painted a beautiful love story. It was October 20th, 1987. Yes, she remembered the exact day they met. Laura was at a motorcycle bar called the Broken Spoke. She's hanging out, sipping on her drink when she says she noticed this guy shooting pool and she admired his, quote, gorgeous calf muscles. So she's checking him out and gets the courage to walk over, introduce herself, and asks if she can join him. They spent the evening playing pool and became friends. On Laura's 21st birthday, she asked him out, but he brought a friend along for the date. Nevertheless, to say, Laura and Bill stayed friends for a long time. 15 years to be exact. But we all know friendship can develop into something more, something deeper, and that's what happened in 2002. Laura, now 36, and Bill fell in love. The next year, Laura moved in with Bill and his property in Coteau Homes, and 8 years later, Bill and Laura got married on November 27, 2010. Bill never had kids, neither did Laura, though she had been previously married. So for 15 years, it was just the two of them and their beloved dogs in beautiful Cajun country, and they were happy. Laura says he was kind and caring. They never once slept apart and were always faithful. But like any married couple, there's arguments. And something from Laura and Bill's past comes up that everyone in their town now looked back on and say this proves Bill was not happy and did not want to be with Laura. When they get in a heated argument on some random topic, Bill would laugh and tell Laura, "I'll just divorce you." Laura says that's how Bill always got her to stop talking. Laura says Bill saw this as being funny and humorous, but Laura didn't like it. In 2019, Laura emailed the one and only Dr. Phil and told him about it, not really expecting anything to happen. Laura really says she just did it to joke around with Bill, and they did laugh about it. But surprisingly, guess who called 3 years later? The one and only Dr. Phil, wanting them to come on the show. The producers said they get a free trip to Los Angeles, all expenses paid, in this glamorous Hotel Hollywood Roosevelt, all the room service they wanted. Bill and Laura thought, that sounds fun, why not? So in December 2022, Laura and Bill flew out to LA and sat down with Dr. Phil. Their episode is called Silver Splitters Facing Divorce After 50, if you want to watch it, by the way. The whole episode is about dating and marriage and divorce in your 50s. In Bill and Laura's segment, Laura tells Dr. Phil how Bill is unorganized and she gets bored when Bill talks about a lawnmower or sits in front of the TV, ignoring her and eating. Laura says when Bill is stressed, he gets mad and she wants him to open up more. Bill tells Dr. Phil they'll get in a fight once or twice a week. He's tired of Laura nagging him and wants Laura to listen more. Typical marriage stuff, you know. Both say they love each other deeply and don't actually want a divorce. Dr. Phil says basically, Bill, stop threatening her with divorce if you don't mean it. And ultimately, Laura says the show was really positive for them and that Dr. Phil actually gave them some really great advice, and it was a fun trip. Plus, Laura says Bill does stop threatening her with divorce thanks to Dr. Phil's advice. Well, this episode airs in January 2023, and Bill disappears that September. You can imagine when people uncover this, what they're saying and the wild theories and accusations that come up. And now Laura says she's fighting all of this while still just trying to find her husband.
Luckily, with the support of friends and family that know him so well, they were like, there's no way. He was born and raised here. He's got 5 million projects going on at his shop. If everybody out there is looking at the Dr. Phil episode, watch the whole episode. They'll hear both of us say how much we love each other and we wouldn't leave.
Coming up, a break in the case is coming. Laura is hoping these billboards all over Lafayette and the $500 reward will spark someone, anyone, to come forward with information on her husband, Bill. But a month goes by, then 2, then 3, until here we are back in September. An entire year passes since Bill was last seen walking down the highway. Since he was seen on all those surveillance videos, he's not in any hospitals or homeless shelters. Those have all been checked. He hasn't been arrested. He's not in any local jails. He hasn't made any purchases on his cards. Search parties, time after time, have combed through the woods around where he was last seen, and nothing. It's literally like he just disappeared into thin air this day of September 10th, 2023. Having no answers, Laura starts thinking, could he have been kidnapped? If you remember, there was that married couple who told Laura they saw a white vehicle stopping along the highway and whoever was inside was speaking to Bill. That was around 10 at night the Sunday he went missing, And that's where the trail to find Bill ends. The person or people in this white car never come forward, not even after a year. Could that be because something sinister happened to him? Laura thinks it's possible.
I want to know what happened, where, why. I know I probably won't learn why, but I want to know where. I don't have a life. It was destroyed. It was blown up by people taking my husband. And I hope they rot in hell. I'm struggling every day because I need him. I don't just want him, I need my husband. He's everything to me.
Laura waits in agonizing pain for another 2 months, and there's somewhat of a break in the case. It comes 14 months after Bill went missing. On December 29th, 2024, 2 days before New Year's, a man who lives in Coteau Homes calls the St. Martin Parish Sheriff's Office. It's a late Sunday evening, and he's on his private property when he notices something that looks like human remains. Deputies are sent down to the property and confirmed these are, in fact, someone's remains. But they are far too decomposed to get a visual identification on who these belong to, who this is. The location where the remains are found is in a wooded area off of Banker Road, right outside the St. Martinville city limits. Taking a look at this map, you can see where Bill was last spotted on surveillance video on September 10th, and also where his home and camp are, which is the area that he possibly crashed his motorbike. If these are Bill's remains, it would make sense. He crashed his bike, wandered down the highway in a dazed and confused state, and for whatever reason, wandered off into the woods. Maybe that white car never picked him up at all. Since these human remains are so decomposed, they need to be tested to find out whose these are. Laura told me she gave investigators several of Bill's things to test against the remains. Things like his hairbrush, his dentures, and everything is sent off to a crime lab to make an identification if they can. And that's where things stand now. It's been 7 months, and Laura says she is still waiting to find out if those remains are her missing husband. Officially, Bill is still a missing person. But if this is Bill, it's scary to think that all of these searches happened and they were right there, so close. But somehow Bill went undetected. If this is Bill, could he have been saved if he was found sooner? And how did he die? These are questions we and Laura can only wait to find out.
More Cajun Case Files after this.
We have a big update for you in the case of missing man Willard Bill Daspit. Bill has been found. Remember those human remains discovered near he and Laura's home in December of 2024? Well, on October 30th, 2025, Laura got confirmation those remains belonged to her husband. We spoke with Laura 10 minutes after she got the notification from deputies with the St. Martin Parish Sheriff's Office.
The sheriff deputies have just come to my house to let me know that the body they found by where Bill was last seen has been positively identified. And it is my husband, Bill. And he didn't deserve this. He was the most awesome, loving, generous man that everybody enjoyed knowing.
On Friday, October 30th, 2025, the St. Martin Parish Sheriff's Office also announced to us the remains were positively identified as Bill. A cause of death has not yet been determined. The identification came nearly a year after a resident found human remains in a wooded area near his home off of Banker Road. News and reporter Kai Price spoke with St. Martin Parish Sheriff's Office Public Information Officer Major Jenny Higgins. He asked why it took nearly a year to identify Bill. She explains the human remains were sent to LSU Faces Laboratory, where that initial discovery was made.
I guess the next step would be, them trying to determine a cause of death. I know that one of your questions too was, why does it take so long? Well, once we send it to Faces, there are hundreds of cases from people all over Louisiana that they handle for. And so unfortunately, it takes a very long time. And, they take them in order, as they should, because everybody, of course, is wanting their information and their things processed. So that's one of the reasons that there was a delay in actually identifying who he was.
Major Jenny Higgins explains now that they know who the remains are, they're waiting for more results to determine a cause of death.
Well, that's a whole different process. So I'm assuming that will be the next stage that they will do to determine. And again, a lot of that has to do with the conditions of the remains and things like that. So, our first order of importance was to identify who it was. And so, we were thankful that they were able to do that.
We asked if investigators are ruling out foul play.
Yeah, the fact that it's still ongoing, once they're able, or if they're able to determine a cause of death, will determine future action.
Major Higgins sharing a message with the St. Martin Parish community.
If the community has any information, of course, we would love to talk to them. They can either do it anonymously through Crime Stoppers, which is 337-441-3030, or they can contact us via social media through Messenger. They can remain anonymous. Sometimes people may have just a little bit of information that may help with the investigation. And anything that they may think, oh, it's insignificant, but it may be something that can tie something else together. So, of course, we encourage that. And we do appreciate the public's help. When he originally went missing, we had a lot of people who, gave us some tips. Every tip that came in, we investigated thoroughly. We searched that area thoroughly with both their support with drones. We had horses, we had dogs, we had everything out there. So we appreciate the public's help when that was going on.
The big question now is, how did Bill die? That's information that has not been determined yet, though investigators are still working to figure that out. We'll provide updates as more information is uncovered. In the meantime, Bill's family friend has started a GoFundMe to help cover Bill's funeral and burial expenses. You can find that link on our website, klfy.com.
Cajun Case Files on KLFY Plus is presented by Beal and Hebert, Acadiana's hometown lawyers. Visit bealabear.com.